Welcome to Real Estate IQ Wisdom for Smart Moves. We will explore the insider secrets tailored exclusively for Silicon Valley home buyers, sellers, and investors, arming you to conquer the unique real estate landscape. So, without further ado, let's dive into this exciting conversation. In today's episode, we welcome Gagan Sandhu, the co-founder and CEO of Xillion. He aims to empower individuals with financial tools and knowledge to make informed decisions and achieve financial freedom. Navigating the real estate market is no small feat. Over 3/4 of potential investors feel swamped by its financial complexities, from puzzling mortgage options to taxing tax benefits. Additionally, 60% tried to tread these waters without a seasoned guide, often leading to less than ideal choices. To make matters more complex, the ever-shifting sands of U.S. tax laws, with over 15 notable changes recently, only add to the confusion, especially concerning estate and capital gains taxes. The following content is only for informational purposes. Please consult a licensed consultant for your specific situation, or if you need any specific legal or tax advice.
Gagan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Give us a brief introduction on Xillion's inception into real estate and how did it all begin?
So when we started thinking about building our product, building our platform, we wanted to give our customers holistic view of their finances and holistic approach to solving their financial problems. And we realized that real estate is a very important part of any average American's portfolio, financial portfolio. And, people go through certain stages in life. After you get your college degree, you start working, you accumulate some savings. The next natural step is, once you find a partner or once your family is growing, is to find a home. That's a big decision. And for most Americans, that until that point in their life, that is usually the biggest financial decision of their life. So we felt that we need to give tools and guidance to help people make that decision really holistically, rather than relying on friends and family advice only, or something that they heard just on the radio or read somewhere. So that's where we started. And we felt that until you hit a certain age, real estate usually is one of the biggest parts of your financial life. So we are like, how can we help our customers make that decision, make that investment choice with the best knowledge possible and with the best mentoring possible? So that's how it started.
And what is your personal passion behind running the organization?
So I'm an engineer by trade. We went to the same college, right? So we are engineers. It's wonderful how things diverge, right? You took the real estate path, and until about 2 years ago, I was still doing engineering work, working in tech companies in the Bay Area, and before that, Boston. But I came to U.S. about 22 something years ago to do my master's, and the Indian students coming to U.S., they're called poor Indian grad students, pegs, right? Because you come in, you don't have much. So you start your life at the very kind of bottom of the totem pole, economic totem pole. And when you start, you're earning minimum wage, and you have to keep track of everything. Otherwise, things can go out of hand very quickly. So I always kept track of my finances. And then, after graduating, I got a job. I got married. We had our first kid very soon. Things, kind of expenses kept piling up. But I was very diligent with keeping track of my expenses, of my savings. And when I kept growing in my career and making a little more money and saving a little bit more money, we realized that we needed to buy a house. We were in Boston at that time, and we were paying, say, $1,900 a month rent. And we had our second kid, and we are like, okay, we need more space. Right. So naturally, the thing was, okay, how should we actually rent another place? Should we think of buying? And this was 2006, 2007. And market was like it is today now, back then. And we were like, okay, should we buy? We started looking, but the math didn't make sense.
Right.
So what I did was I started a spreadsheet. I started inputting all the information of about interest rate, about home prices in the neighborhoods that we were looking at, about the down payment options. There is FHA loans and there is 20% down payment, 10% with the PMI option, without the PMI option. So, and also calling different mortgage brokers, you know how that is, you shop around different banks. So I kept all that information in a spreadsheet, and then I started kind of extending that spreadsheet. And over time, that spreadsheet actually became a really good tool for me and my wife to look at and say, hey, this particular house, if we buy, it's going to be about $200 more than what we pay now for rent. But hey, we have a bigger family, we'll have more room, it's probably worth it. Or we would do another calculation and say, this house is $500 more, but we will also get tax benefit. Back then, the standard deduction was lower. So we would get, the interest would go towards your tax deduction. So all the math became really easy with that spreadsheet. And over time, I just kept updating that spreadsheet. So when we bought our first house, the spreadsheet, when it said yes, we bought our house.
Okay.
So that became my go-to tool. Then a few years later, a friend of mine who's also from our college,
Okay.
and he's also a realtor, engineer turned realtor. He lives in the Washington suburbs, Northern Virginia,
Sure.
Washington, D.C. suburbs. He and I were talking, this was 2012, 2013. He's like, hey, Gagan, we should buy a property together. And he knew that market really well, and the market was still kind of coming up. It wasn't fully up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, let's do it, And then he and I started exchanging notes, and I fired up the spreadsheet again, and he would provide me some numbers. I would run those numbers. I'm like, yeah, this property makes sense. This doesn't make sense. And it helped us buy our first investment property. So, and over time, that kind of grew. And then I started helping other friends, other people. I started helping other friends. They would ask, hey, does it make sense to buy a house, or should I buy this rental property or not? And then I would, again, share the spreadsheet with them, whether they were buying their first home or their investment home or vacation home. And I would say, this is how the math kind of works. Over time, tax laws change, right? Things kind of shift in real estate every few years. So I kept updating it. And it just, for me, as an engineer, I look at real estate investing as a problem. And my goal is always to find the best solution. And that spreadsheet became a great solution. And when 2 years ago, when I started Xillion, I'm like, finance, I have a spreadsheet. Finance plays a big role in buying real estate. So we converted that spreadsheet into an algorithm. Then we kept enhancing it. And here we are. Now, thousands of people are using it every day.
That's so interesting. And so why does Xillion places so much importance on the mentors when you talk about real estate investing?
As I mentioned, the first investment property I bought was through my friend. And he was a real estate investor, or I would say he is a real estate broker. And inevitably, real estate brokers become investors, right?
Right.
Every so often they come across a property, they're like, I'm just going to buy it. It's such a good deal.
Right.
What I have learned is, and this is a little bit philosophical, what I've learned is each one of us comes into this world with a superpower. Some of us realize it sooner than others.
Right.
But not all of us are actually endowed with multiple superpowers. And I think realtors, their superpower is they know a market really well. And I believe that, like, for instance, I'm an engineer. My background is, data and machine learning and artificial intelligence. I know that stuff. That's my superpower. I can, if someone tells you, hey, robots are going to be driven on AI and they're going to kill us, I can call that, I can figure out how much truth is there. But real estate is not my superpower because I don't spend time, I don't get excited about it as much. But for you, that is your superpower. When you're driving around, my guess is you're constantly looking left and right and, how's the curb appeal of this house? What kind of cars are parked here? Are the roads paved? you're constantly looking. You probably look at 50 things when you're driving on a street. I wouldn't look at a single thing.
Right.
And I think you are very likely to be a good person to talk to if I ever want to buy real estate, because you are always thinking about it. You have how many years of experience you have, right? All that experience has gone into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So we believe that rather than everyone trying to do their own thing and trying to, drive around a city to figure out what to buy and where to buy, we believe you should piggyback on people already know. Or in other terms, as we use the term, that phrase in the Valley here, we should ride on the shoulders of the giants, right? And in real estate, the realtors are the giants. The real estate investors are the giants. So rather than trying to discover everything, if that's not your passion, don't try to learn everything. Try to bring your best to the mentor and let the mentor guide you to your actual destination, which is either buying your own home or buying a rental property or buying a commercial property, because the mentors really know. They basically bleed, In our case, for instance, if it's a mentor about stocks, they really think about stocks all the time. If it's a mentor about real estate, they just think about real estate all the time. So we believe that's in a way, match made in heaven, is, bringing mentors to our customers and say, hey, listen, you two should work together and get this thing done.
And what specific challenges do Xillion resolves for clients in real estate?
I would say two types of challenges. One is finance is very overwhelming, because finance is not one thing. And buying a house or buying a rental property can also be quite overwhelming, because there are so many aspects to look at, right? I mean, as I said, that's the reason I started my spreadsheet was, is this better or this better? Is this bank giving a better deal or this bank? Is this closing cost better than this interest rate cost, right? So there are so many variables. So the first thing is we reduce the anxiety by providing tools to our customers so that they can actually input the numbers and the math becomes crystal clear. So our take at Xillion is buying something should be an emotional decision, especially when it's buying a home where you want to live in. It shouldn't be a mathematically daunting decision. The math, we make it super duper easy. You just punch in the numbers, and if you are looking at 5 homes, punch in all the numbers for all 5 homes, and we'll tell you, hey, these 2 homes do not make sense. These 3 homes, they make sense. The monthly cost is going to be this much for each of these homes. And let's say you are getting FHA loan thinking of FHA on one, but 20% down on the other. We'll show you pros and cons of each. So the idea is, the thought behind is make it less overwhelming, make it a manageable process where, an average customer should be wrap their hands around all this and say, okay, this seems like a decent decision. And not just that, a lot of times I don't know if you know, Ramit Sethi is a famous finance wizard. He published a book and all. He's like, never buy a house. And because he's like, it doesn't make financial sense. And my take is that we will tell you if it makes financial sense or not. However, buying a home sometimes is not about finances. It's about your emotional needs. It's about your family's needs, making beautiful memories. You can't put a price on that. For me, like, for instance, I wanted a house with my own driveway, not, an association, not, like a shared parking spot. I wanted my own driveway so that if my kids want to leave their scooter in the driveway, nobody should come and tell me, pick up that scooter, right? So for me, we paid a higher price for that kind of property, but it was not a financial decision. I knew the finances. So our goal is we resolve number one problem by eliminating the financial overwhelming thing that happens with people. Like, oh my God, what if are the finances going to work or not? We will tell you they're going to work or not. The second thing is we help people explore things that they otherwise wouldn't. So some people would say, oh, it's a bad investment, or it's, have you thought about that? We actually take care of all of that because, buying a house, and what I mean is the financial side of it, right? For instance, Ramit Sethi will say, or some people will say, you should take that money that you're going to put towards down payment and put it in S&P 500, and it will grow much faster than all that. We actually do all that. We are like, listen, what if you invest this money instead of buying a house, you invest this money in S&P 500, and would that make it a better deal or not? So that people don't have to think and go somewhere else to figure out. We do it all for you, and our goal is to make it the whole thing less anxious, less anxiety inducing for you. And lastly, if you are not the person who is good at it, we put you in touch with mentors so that even, you shouldn't be overwhelmed by, oh my God, one thing I realized is people also get overwhelmed, one, by finances, two, by the effort it requires. It requires so much effort to find the right neighborhood, to, find the right town, the right schools, and so much, right? The right direction. Some people like Feng Shui, some people like Vastu, and there are so many things that go into the decision. Our goal is to help them. Our goal is to pair them with the right mentor who has seen it all, done it all, who can listen to all the needs and say, I got you. I have 3 properties that you might be interested in, or I'll keep an eye on everything. Within the next 2-3 months, something should work out. So that's like, those are kind of, I would say I started with 2, but those are the 3 things we help customers.
A typical problem homeowners have when wanting to buy a new home is whether to sell first or buy first. Either way is risky. When ready to look for a new home, TradeMyHome.com, powered by Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, offers an upfront guaranteed cash offer on your current home. Are you moving in the next 3 to 6 months? Text PAIR to 408-740-7400 for a free and no obligation professional equity appraisal report. For more information, visit TradeMyHome.com or call 408-740-7400. Remember, at TradeMyHome.com, your home is sold guaranteed or we'll buy it.
Can you share a story where you have empowered a real estate investor to really make some smart decisions?
Great question. There is, a lot of times people think 0 or 1. Real estate is great investment or real estate is bad investment. We actually help people identify that it can be a good investment for you given your circumstances, or a bad investment for you given your circumstances. One of our customers, they are high earners. Both partners work excellent tech jobs, and they have one home, and their debt to income ratio is less than 10%. And so an average person would tell them, yeah, you're fine, invest everything in your stock market, S&P 500 and all that. But what I realized is the beauty of real estate investing is you put 20% and you borrow 80% from the bank. In real estate investing, real estate grows in America over long term. Real estate grows at about 3% per year, long term. But if you're only putting 20%, that 20% is now going to grow at 3 times 5, right? 15% for you, because you're only putting 20% down. So we help people see this as an opportunity. And so this customer of ours, now they are looking to invest in a property because we tell them, our platform tells them what the optimum debt to income ratio is for them to maximize their financial returns through all kinds of investing. And since if you are a high income person or a household, banks will lend you money at such cheap rates that it's almost laughable. So we help customers think beyond the obvious and think about things that otherwise they wouldn't, because those are not common knowledge things. Those are not, like how many times that for you it might be different, but for average dinner party I go to, we don't talk about debt to income ratio.
Right.
Like People talk about things, like football season has started, and now, there's something else going on, and there is a presidential election coming. There are always so many other things to talk about, but people don't talk about, debt to income ratio or the S&P 500 returns, or so we bring all of that to the surface. And this customer now, after they saw, and we make the math super easy, after they saw it, now they are looking to buy a house, another house, and rent it out. So that's just one of the ways we help people see beyond just the obvious and see where the value is and what they should do to unlock that.
And how does Xillion distinguishes from other real estate platforms out there?
So when we started building these, one was, Xillion is, what we are building is coming straight from my heart, right? I started this, I built these tools for myself. Then I, shared these tools with my friends and family and coworkers and all that. So it's very close to my heart, and we are always evolving. The second is, we go into the details that most of the platforms don't even bother. For instance, there are 1,000 calculators out there that's like, oh, what will be your annual, like monthly payment, or is home buying worth it or not? They give one chart and all that, but they don't go into the nuances of the smaller things. Like we even put in the maintenance cost and the PMI cost, and also, like the aspects that other, like as I said, the debt to income ratio. So we personalize it. We are not just giving you the cookie cutter thing. We're like, hey, listen, what is your income? Based on your income, what is your marginal tax rate? With this tax rate, if you buy this house, you will get this much tax break.
Right.
Is it worth having that tax break or not? Or should you actually keep, this money invested in S&P 500 and rent a bigger house because the math isn't working out? So our experience is highly personalized,
right,
to our customers' unique circumstances, because every family is unique. Every family's circumstances are unique. So we actually put in the effort to understand you, and then go the extra mile with you and tell you, this makes sense, but this doesn't make sense. Or we also tell you, it financially doesn't make sense, but it might still make sense for you because that's what you want to do. So that's where, and not just that, another thing is a lot of people, a lot of the platforms out there, they're like, oh, this is the value of the house, and bam, right? This is what's going to happen. We actually give people, as I said in the beginning, for a lot of Americans, a home becomes their biggest investment over time. And we actually give people a window into how their investment will grow over time. Because we know we have collected all the data about how fast real estate grows in each market. And we are able to give them a picture that, hey, in next 30 years, this is how your stocks are going to be. This is how your 401k is going to be, this is how your home is going to be, and they can see that how their overall financial life will evolve over the next 25, 30 years. And we are building more tools. For instance, if somebody has a lot of equity, property rates have appreciated so much over the last 3-4 years. If people have accumulated a lot of equity, then we are building tools so we can say, hey, this much equity, it might make merits. For this much equity in the property, it might make more sense for you to take some of the equity out and actually either invest it in the market or actually buy another investment property with it. So those are the tools that just don't exist right now. And we believe there is a clear need for that.
And how do you stay on top of the ever-changing trends in real estate?
I think real estate is, fortunately, it's not as dynamic as, let's say, the stock market, right? But still, all economic aspects are connected to each other. How we stay on top of it is we actually have tools that help us stay. So we recently launched a product we call it Xillion Terminal. It helps anyone take a look at overall economy. For instance, jobless claims versus home sales. How are they related, right? Do they relate like this or do they relate like this, right? So we, just because we are in this space, we are almost on top of things. But the way we do it is we actually see how things are changing, whether it's, for instance, tax structures change. During the 2017 tax reform, certain things changed. So we know that over time, as tax things and certain state legislations change over time as well. So we make those adjustments accordingly. Every year, as the income tax marginal tax rate goes up or down, we make those adjustments because that can change your the math, whether to invest or not, and also the interest rates. That usually is the biggest variable for real estate, and we are always keeping track of that and making sure our customers have the latest information in their calculations so that they can make the most informed decision.
So what one piece of advice will you give to people who want to venture into real estate?
It's the same advice that I give to people when it comes to investing in anything, and that is invest in what you know. What I mean by that is, in stock market, it is discussed openly, but still not understood fully. You should invest in what you know. For instance, I only invest in tech stocks in the US because I live in the US, I work in tech. I don't invest in stocks in China or India, or I don't invest in energy sector because I know nothing about it. Similarly, I think in real estate, you should invest in what you know, and typically what you know is where you live. So I'm a big proponent of investing in your own neighborhood, your own town, or maybe the town next to you. The reason being, as I mentioned, when you are driving around, you're probably looking at many different things. But even if I'm not a realtor, when I'm driving around a neighborhood, and in my neighborhood, I'm driving around all the time, it's very likely that I actually pick up a lot of signals, right? How safe is the neighborhood? Are the kids playing by themselves, or are they tethered to their parents? Right. How many parks are there? What kind of cars are people driving? Are there any rash drivers, right? And how many police incidents happen? So if you know all that, you can actually put a very good value on a property in your neighborhood. Right. So 3 years ago, a friend of ours, they moved to India. We bought their house because it's in our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. We literally can walk to that house and have a conversation with the tenant. It's no overhead. We don't have to really arrange anything. And during pandemic, I heard a lot of people, hey, Bay Area is so expensive. I should go buy property in Austin or Florida. I'm like, I wouldn't recommend that, right? Unless you have a mentor who lives there. Right. For instance, my friend, he lives in Virginia. Another friend of mine, he lives in Phoenix. He knows that market, so I'll be happy to work with him because he is the eyes and ears on the ground. He knows the market inside out. So my biggest thing would be invest in something you know. If you don't know something that's affordable in the area that you know, then find a mentor who is in the market that is more affordable, and the mentor can do almost all the groundwork for you so that you can just bring your capital and your knowledge and what I say, debt to income, right. As an asset class, and then the mentor can guide you and point you in the right direction.
Gagan, thank you so much for your time today. Keep up the great work, and let's stay in touch.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. If any of your followers, any of your customers are interested in the services that we provide, the products we provide, the mentors we have, please ask them to go to xillionapp.com, and they can find everything that I've discussed in this podcast. They can find everything on our website.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the podcast and acknowledging the wisdom of smart moves in real estate in Silicon Valley. Please share this episode with a friend, subscribe, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts at Real Estate IQ. Thank you to our sponsor, TradeMyHome.com, for their client commitment and for making this podcast possible. If you're considering buying or selling a home, visit TradeMyHome.com. Until next time, remember to stay ahead in the real estate game.